I never thought I'd be writing this. The past year has been nothing short of a nightmare, and I'm still trying to make sense of how everything fell apart. I grew up in a family that was complicated from the start, and perhaps that should have been my first warning. But I always believed that, no matter what, family would have my back. That belief shattered, leaving me to question everything I thought I knew about loyalty and love. To understand my story, you need to know a little about my family. When I was 8, my little brother passed away. He was only 5, and his death changed my parents forever. It crushed my mother in particular. She'd always dreamed of having a big family, but after losing him, doctors told her she couldn't have more kids due to complications. This news hit her hard, and she became incredibly protective of me. But it wasn't just protectiveness. She was haunted by a deep regret. She'd often tell me how much she wished she'd had a daughter, sometimes even mentioning names she'd picked out for her. Over time, I saw how much she wanted that daughter she could never have. My mom would spend hours with my female cousins, showering them with attention and gifts, treating them like the daughters she dreamed of. While this dynamic left me feeling a bit overlooked, I understood it. I accepted that it was her way of coping with grief, and I figured it was just part of who she was. Fast forward to 2 years ago, when I met Minerva. We crossed paths at a company event through a mutual friend, Emma. Minerva was charming, beautiful, and seemed family-oriented. Emma mentioned that Minerva had recently ended a long-term relationship and was looking to settle down. I felt lucky to have met her, and things progressed quickly between us. When I introduced her to my parents, my mom's reaction was overwhelming. She was ecstatic, almost in tears, saying Minerva reminded her of herself when she was younger. From that moment, my mom treated Minerva as if she were already part of the family, even referring to her as the daughter she never had. Looking back, I wish I'd seen the signs. As Minerva and I got more serious, my mom seemed to get more invested than I was. She'd invite Minerva over for lunch or shopping trips, and they became inseparable. My mom even started to make comments about how I needed to lock Minerva down before someone else did. She'd defend Minerva anytime I brought up valid concerns, like when Minerva would cancel dates at the last minute or avoid talking about her past relationships. But I was in love and brushed it off. A year after we started dating, I proposed, and Minerva said yes. My mom insisted on paying for the entire wedding, saying it was her way of giving her daughter a perfect day. She took control over most of the planning, often making decisions without consulting me. I brushed this off too, thinking she was just excited. During the reception, Minerva seemed distant, constantly checking her phone, but I chalked it up to wedding day nerves. My father, however, pulled me aside and asked if I was really sure about Minerva, saying something felt off. I ignored his concerns, caught up in the excitement. After the wedding, Minerva quit her job, wanting to focus on starting a family. I was a software developer making a good income, so I supported her. She talked about doing volunteer work in the meantime, and it seemed like a positive way for her to stay busy. Things started changing, though, when her high school friend Jake moved back to town. At first, she'd meet him occasionally for coffee, claiming she was helping him settle back in. My mom thought it was wonderful that Minerva was so kind to an old friend, and she encouraged it. But soon, those coffee meetings became more frequent. Minerva would come home late, sometimes smelling of alcohol, making excuses about helping Jake with various things. She'd say she was helping him find furniture or showing him around town. When I raised my concerns, my mom defended her, accusing me of being controlling. My father once again tried to warn me, noticing the change in Minerva, but my mom shut him down. This caused tension between them, but I tried to ignore it. Then, I caught Minerva cheating in the worst possible way. One day, I came home early from work and found Minerva in bed with Jake. They didn't even look shocked or guilty. In fact, Minerva looked at me calmly and said, "I guess we need to talk." I packed a bag and went straight to my parents' house, expecting support. Instead, I found my mom more concerned about Minerva than about me. She kept saying, everyone makes mistakes, and that I needed to forgive her. She even called Minerva and invited her over to work things out. I couldn't believe it. 2 weeks later, Minerva announced she was pregnant. We hadn't been intimate for months, so I was immediately suspicious. But when I voiced my doubts about the baby's paternity, my mom exploded, saying I was being cruel and insisting that I should raise the baby, no matter what. She repeated, "Family is family." I couldn't take it anymore and filed for divorce, but Minerva fought it with my mom's full support, both emotionally and financially. My own mother even testified against me in court, painting me as an absent husband who drove Minerva to seek comfort elsewhere. She told the judge that the baby deserved a stable home and offered to help Minerva with her legal fees, even if it meant dipping into her retirement savings. The judge ordered a paternity test once the baby was born, but my mom continued supporting Minerva. She helped her set up a nursery in my old bedroom at their house, bought baby clothes, and even organized family gatherings to celebrate the upcoming birth. My father, horrified by her actions, could barely stand to speak to her. He called me daily, apologizing for not seeing the situation clearly from the start. Then came the final blow. Emma, the friend who'd introduced me to Minerva, reached out. She couldn't keep it in any longer and confessed that Minerva and Jake had been having an affair for months, meeting at his apartment during her supposed volunteer work. And even worse, Emma had seen my mom, Minerva, and Jake having lunch together 2 months before I caught them. My mom had known about the affair the whole time. When I confronted my mom, she didn't deny it. She admitted she knew but didn't tell me because she was afraid I'd leave Minerva, abandoning what she saw as her chance for the family she'd always wanted. She looked at me and said something that will haunt me forever. Sometimes being a mother means making hard choices. Minerva needs me more than you do right now. I left, heartbroken. My father, overhearing our conversation, was furious. He confronted my mom, who defended herself by saying he'd never understood her pain of losing a child and never having a daughter. She said he couldn't grasp how much this meant to her. That night, my father moved into the guest room, saying he couldn't live under the same roof as her. He's now considering selling the house and is more supportive than ever, calling me every day. Now, I'm waiting for the paternity test, knowing that, to my mom, the results won't matter. She's convinced this child is her family, even if it isn't mine. I never thought my family would fall apart like this. And now, I'm left wondering if family really does come first, or if that's just something people say until it's tested. My family is a mess, and it all started when my mom took sides with my ex-wife Minerva, the woman who cheated on me. The worst part? She knows what Minerva did, but still stands behind her. Our relatives are completely divided. My mom insists that family is family, no matter the situation, and that I should step up for Minerva and the baby, even though the paternity of this child isn't clear. Some of my older family members agree with her, believing I should be the bigger person and support Minerva, but others are horrified by my mom's betrayal and have completely cut ties with her. My aunt, who is my mom's sister, has even said that mom's behavior reminds her of the way she acted after my brother passed away, completely irrational and unable to see reason. Meanwhile, Minerva has made herself out to be the victim, telling everyone I'm the father of her baby and that I've abandoned her. She's pulling every sympathy card in the book and taking it to social media. Every post is about being a single mom, how hard it's going to be, and how she can't believe she was abandoned by someone she thought she could trust. It's the perfect pity party, and she's pulling it off so well that people are buying it. This has cost me friendships, some of which I've had for years. I used to have a close circle of people who supported me, but now they're split too. Some of them are angry with me, saying I need to step up and do the right thing. Others don't speak to me at all. My mom, meanwhile, is only making things worse by spreading her own stories. She tells anyone who'll listen that I'm being cold-hearted and refusing to help Minerva during a difficult time. Every time I hear that, I feel sick. My mom, who I thought would stand by me, is now painting me as the villain. This stress has affected every single aspect of my life. I've had to take time off work because I can't even concentrate. My boss has been understanding, but I know this can't go on forever. I feel like my life is crumbling. I've even started seeing a therapist just to help me process the sheer betrayal I'm feeling. The only thing that's kept me going is the idea that the paternity test will soon confirm what I suspect, that I'm not the father. Just yesterday, Minerva announced on social media that she's having a girl. And as usual, my mom immediately shared the post. She wrote this long comment about how blessed she feels to finally have a granddaughter and how excited she is to share all the mother-daughter experiences she never had. She didn't even acknowledge that the baby's paternity is in question, or that I'm her own son, the one who's hurting most. Seeing my mom celebrate my ex-wife's pregnancy is gut-wrenching. Then, the baby was born yesterday, and things took a dramatic turn. My mom called me 6 times in 1 hour, each voicemail angrier than the last, saying I needed to be at the hospital because my daughter was being born. I ignored the calls, knowing I couldn't face any of them, but my dad kept me updated. He's been quietly supporting me through this whole ordeal, and I'm so grateful to have him on my side. The baby girl was born healthy, and just minutes after she was born, my mom was posting pictures on social media, announcing the arrival of her first grandchild. There was no mention of the pending paternity test, just pure joy, as if everything was fine. Today, we finally got the paternity test results, and as I suspected, I'm not the father. Jake, the man Minerva was seeing, is the baby's real dad. Right after I received the results, I got a call from Minerva's sister, Lisa, who sounded like she was barely holding it together. She told me she couldn't live with the guilt anymore, and that there was something I needed to know. Lisa revealed that Minerva and Jake had been together secretly for over 6 years, even before I met her. They never actually broke up, and Minerva was only using me because I had a stable job and what she called a nice guy reputation. But the worst part? My mom knew about all of this. About 3 months into my marriage, she borrowed Minerva's phone to make a call and stumbled upon texts between Minerva and Jake. Instead of coming to me with the truth, she confronted Minerva. Minerva managed to turn the situation in her favor, convincing my mom that Jake was her true love, but that he couldn't provide the financial stability she needed. She promised my mom that if she kept quiet, she would let her be the primary grandmother and even name the baby after her. My mom, so desperate for a daughter and granddaughter relationship, agreed to keep their secret. After hearing all this, I was beyond angry. I took the paternity test results and the screenshots Lisa sent me, then made a detailed social media post of my own. I tagged everyone who had sided with Minerva and my mom, everyone who had judged me, and shared everything. The response was instant and overwhelming. People who had judged me without knowing the truth began sending apologies. Some of my old friends who had cut ties with me were now begging for forgiveness. Lisa even went public with more details about Minerva's scheme, revealing how Minerva and Jake had laughed about my mom's support of their plan. But my mom's reaction was the worst of all. Instead of apologizing, She showed up at my apartment, crying and insisting that I should be the bigger person and raise the baby anyway. My dad, who was with me when she arrived, finally lost it. He told her she needed serious help and that her obsession with having a daughter had destroyed our family. Right there, he announced he was filing for divorce. My mom completely broke down, switching between begging him to stay and accusing us of being heartless. When Minerva tried to do damage control, claiming she developed real feelings for me, Lisa stepped up again. She shared even more text messages showing how Minerva and Jake had mocked me the entire time. Today, my dad is staying with me as he finds a new place. Since the divorce, he's started to look like his old self again, joining a golf club and even going on a few dates. He admitted he hasn't felt this free in years. Meanwhile, my mom is more committed to the baby than ever. She spends what little money she has left on baby clothes, babysits 4 days a week, and posts endless pictures of herself with the baby on new social media accounts after people unfollowed her old ones. The story doesn't end there. Minerva's lawyer reached out to ask if I'd consider adopting the baby because Jake isn't turning out to be reliable. My mom also emailed me, saying that adopting the baby would heal our family. It was surreal. How could she be so blind? I forwarded both messages to my lawyer without responding. At this point, I've learned something important. Family isn't just about blood. It's about who stands by you, who respects you, and who cares enough to support you when it matters most. My dad has shown me that, and I'll forever be grateful to him for being my rock in all of this chaos. As for my mom, I don't know if we'll ever truly mend our relationship. Her choice to betray me and support my cheating ex-wife over her own son is something I may never fully get past. My mom has really crossed the line. She's gone so far as to create a whole Instagram account just to post daily pictures of the baby with captions about her granddaughter. It doesn't stop there. She even hired a genealogist to dig around, hoping to find some distant connection between our families that could prove she has a right to call herself the baby's grandmother. It's like she's doing everything she can to make this story fit her version of reality. But the financial side is even worse. My dad's divorce lawyer recently told us that she's been borrowing money from various relatives, telling them it's for family emergencies. Only later did we find out the truth. She's been funneling this money to Minerva and Jake to help them with rent and baby expenses. Needless to say, some family members were furious when they discovered her deception and have cut off contact with her entirely. As for me, I've been strict about keeping my distance. I've gone completely no contact with my mom, Minerva, and Jake. I've blocked every phone number and social media account they might use to reach me. And I'm very clear with anyone else who knows them. Anyone who tries to act as a go-between will be cut off too. Despite all this, my mom won't stop trying. She's started sending cards and letters to my office, since she can't reach my home address. These letters are all the same, begging me to reconcile with my sister. Yes, she's actually calling Minerva my sister now, and accept my niece. Every letter is a new level of disturbing, and each one goes straight into the shredder. The only bright spot in all of this has been the bond I've built with my dad. We've grown closer than ever. We have dinner together several times a week, and he's been my rock through this whole ordeal. He's helped me see that my mom's behavior isn't my fault, that her issues run deeper than just what's going on with Minerva. His support has meant everything to me. Recently, I've started to feel ready to move on in my personal life. I've been dating again, taking things slowly, and pouring my energy into my career. I got another promotion at work, and I'm planning to buy a house in a different neighborhood, one that's even farther from where my mom has moved. My dad plans to relocate to the same area once he finds a place, so we'll still be close. Some people in my life have said that I should try to forgive my mom, suggesting her actions come from grief and unresolved trauma from losing my brother all those years ago. But watching her actively choose to support the people who betrayed and deceived me, then try to rewrite history to justify her behavior, has revealed who she really is. Some bridges, once burned, are best left behind. I can't let her toxic influence hold me back any longer. This will likely be my final update. I'm ready to close this chapter of my life and move forward without my mom's drama or the lies of Manura and Jake. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this journey. It's time to leave this all behind and focus on a healthier, happier future.